Okay, so we're picking it up on page 54. From little green marbles, those tomatoes started growing. Then they started getting orange. Then they went to red. Oops. I kept looking up at Letitia's window, wanting her to see it too. The only faces looking back were the drunks that hang out under her place. That liquor store's all boarded up, but they still suck on their bottles there anyway. They like to call me field slave and sharecropper. Ask how Massa's crops is doing. I could have banged their heads together and shut 'em up, but I didn't. That was part of the point of the tomatoes. I was showing Letitia that just 'cause I got muscles don't mean I'm some jungle beast. I stopped working out and stopped going out with no shirt, no matter how hot it was. When some chicks would be walking by and see me there and say, "Looking fine," I knew they meant me, but I'd point to my biggest tomato and say, "Sure is." My homies all laughed to see me out there, stopped calling me Seps, started in calling me Tomato. I just smiled. Those tomatoes got big as billiard balls. One day when I checked them, my biggest one, the one I'd been watching closest, was gone. The next day, another one gone. It wasn't insects that took 'em. I was mad. They weren't even all the way ripe yet. My plants were right there by the sidewalk. I put chicken wire around 'em and even on top, but people could still reach in if they tried. I couldn't guard 'em day and night. Then Royce showed up just in time. You drop bread on the ground and birds come out of nowhere. Same with that garden. People just appeared. People you didn't know were there. Royce was like that. Except that he didn't want nobody knowing he was there. One of the gardeners saw that her pile of grass clippings was all spread out, had a sort of human print in it. He'd been sleeping there nights and leaving early. One morning, he slept late. I'm the one who found him. He was 15, black, built big, looked like I did. His face was banged up. Said his father did it and threw him out. He didn't want to go back. I bought him breakfast and we made us a deal. I found him a place closer to my tomatoes but hidden by somebody's corn so the cops wouldn't see him sacked out. I bought him a brand new sleeping bag. I gave him money for food that week. Then I picked up a pitchfork for $3 at a junk shop. His part of the deal was that if he saw or heard anyone mess with my tomatoes, he'd come at 'em full speed holding the pitchfork. That was my best shot protecting them at night. For daytime, when Royce was gone, I painted a sign that said, "Letitia's Tomatoes." It was big. I put it right there in front of the plants facing the sidewalk. If people know something belongs to a person instead of the city or the U.S. government, they're more likely to leave it be. When I'd pounded it in, I filled up my water can. Walking back, I looked up at her window, as still as a cat. Behind that lace curtain, there was her face, staring down at the sign. All right, and that's the end of the chapter. So, are you ready for a quiz? There'll be a quiz. It'll include some questions about Curtis and a few questions about vocabulary words 6 through 10 in chapter 17. For Thursday in Seedfolks, we're going to skip ahead and read the last chapter, which is called Florence, and it starts on page 82. Also, I want you to imagine that you are going to go on a trip to Cleveland to visit with one of the characters and interview that person. So think about which character you would want to meet. I'll have an activity for you to do on Thursday. You're going to be writing a letter to one of the characters in the book as if you are planning on going to visit them and to interview them and ask questions about the garden. I'll have more instructions for you about that on Thursday. But in the meantime, you can think about which character you would choose. And then I will be teaching you how to set up the letter and different things, the types of statements that you might like to say in the letter. All right, so now we'll go ahead and we'll take the quiz on Curtis and the second half of that vocabulary chapter. All right, thanks. I hope everything's going well. If you have questions about anything, just let me know. Okay, thank you.